And if I hadn't done the reunion, I wouldn't have gotten to play with Sterling again. Nobody plays like Sterling. So it was something I think we all really looked forward to and gave our all.
Who are these guys? They're a team. This team.
We're going to talk about your current project, Poetry. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yeah.
And that represents a sort of meeting of the minds between you and Edgar Allan Poe. What was the origin of that project?
The director, Bob Wilson, and I had done a show in Germany called Time Rocker. And after Time Rocker, Bob thought we should do another project, and he thought that we should do something about Edgar Allan Poe and that I should write it. He said, "You're made for Poe."
How do you see the connection? Because to me, you're both masters of...
We're both American.
Right, which some people don't even realize. You're both masters of romance and darkness and sensuality and a lot of other things. Were you a fan? Was he anyone who ever touched your life before working on this project?
I had really started to understand Poe a few years before that when I did a project with Hal Wilner at St. Anne's Church on Halloween when we were reading from Poe. And I read The Telltale Heart out loud, and acting it out made it clear to me about the psychology of the lead character, which I thought I'd understood, but when I was younger and I hadn't. It was a lot more complex than a Roger Corman movie. Also, his rhythm, when you're reading Poe, the rhythm is so much like music. He's a particularly rhythmic writer. And psychology, what he's interested in, which I think is very much something a contemporary audience would be attracted to, which is, I think all of us know what a compulsion is or an obsession, and I don't know anyone who hasn't experienced guilt.
I wonder if you will perform one of the songs from Poetry, Who Am I?
Sometimes I wonder, who am I? The world seeming to pass me by. A young man, now getting old. I have to wonder what the rest of life will hold. I hold a mirror to my face. There are some lines that I could trace to memories of loving you. A passion that breaks reason in two. I have to stop and think now. If reminiscences make you frown, one thinks of what one hoped to be, and then faces reality. I wonder who started all this. Was God in love and gave a kiss to someone who later betrayed? And godless love sent us away. Sometimes I wonder, who am I? Who made the trees, who made the sky, who made the storms, who made heartbreak? I wonder how much life I can take. I see at last a future self. Were you alive, I'd ask your help, but thinking puts me in a daze, and thinking never helped me anyway. You always were so negative. You never saw the positive. You always stand upon the edge, and dream of what it must be to be dead. I know I like to dream a lot and think of other worlds that are not. I hate that I need air to breathe. I'd like to leave this body and be free. You'd like to float like a mystic child. You'd like to kiss an angel on the brow. You'd love to solve the mystery of life by cutting someone's throat or removing their heart. You'd like to see it be. You'd like to hold your eyes, and though you know I'm dead, you'd like to hold my thighs. If it's wrong to think on this, to hold the dead past in your fist, why were we given memories? Let's lose our minds and be set free. Sometimes I wonder, who am I? The world seeming to pass me by. A younger man, now getting old. I have to wonder what the rest of life will hold. I wonder who started all this. Was God in love and gave a kiss to someone who later betrayed, and godless love sent us away to someone who later betrayed, to someone godless love sent us away. Fernando.
That was great. Can you explain a little bit how you and Poe worked together on this record? How did you crazy kids collaborate? In other words, what part is Poe? What part
I
is
morphed through him. I got so deep into it. With Poe, I was changing what I thought needed changing, and then of course it would set me off on a whole bunch of riffs or sentences or speeches. I was, in writing in what I would call, hopefully, a Poe style. So there are little bits in there that don't exist in Poe.
The more Poe,
But hopefully it sounds like him.
the more Poe you sort of threw yourself into, did you just come up with the conclusion that he was a rock and roll animal in a way too?
I came up with the conclusion he was the master of language and psychology and incredible knowledge of so many things. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he, didn't he invent the detective story, science fiction story? Whoa, you could stop there. But then he wrote The Raven and The Pit and the Pendulum and The Telltale Heart. It goes on and on and on.
And I realized the connection last night when I was listening to the record that he wrote The Raven, Poe, and you wrote a record called The Ostrich very early in your career. Do you remember The Ostrich?
Very early. The ostrich was because I'd read somewhere that ostrich feathers were in, so I wrote a dance called The Ostrich, and not nearly as complex as The Raven.
Do you remember, can you give us any of the lyrics, recite them as poetry?
Put your head down on the floor and step on it.
Now, you're not talking to me, you're actually reciting the lyrics.
Yeah, it scares me a little that part of my brain is occupied with remembering that.
How about yourself as a poet? When did you begin to feel an identity as a poet?
I don't, I don't really think of it that way. I think I play rock and roll, and I want to bring a certain sensibility to the lyrics, and it would be part of the goal to be able to have the lyrics be able to exist without the music.
2 last questions. What would you say music has brought to your life?
Life.
And what do you think your life has brought to music? And don't be humble.
Oh. The sensitivity of an eye for detail, maybe, if I'm lucky, of a decent novelist or playwright.
I know you like an assignment, so I'm going to give you an assignment. If you would end a perfect night with a perfect day.
Sure, I'd be glad to.
Thank you.
By the way, Fernando Saunders here. What a perfect day. Drink sangria in the park. Later, when it gets dark, we go home. What a perfect day. Feed the animals in the zoo. Then later, a movie too, and then home. Ah, it's such a perfect day. I'm glad I spent it with you. What a perfect day. Ah, you just keep me hanging on. You just keep me hanging on. Oh, what a perfect day. Problems all left alone. Weekend is on our own. It's such fun. What a perfect day. You made me forget myself. I thought that I was somebody else.